Okay, this is a story about the way the manner that I met Shifu, and it's related to the Amitabha session that was held in 1975 in Oregon. I live in Eugene, Oregon, and that event happened on the coast, and that was in 1975. As a result of that Amitabha session, uh, the Sherfo and his disciples were invited to the University of Oregon in Eugene to give a lecture, like in the religion department of the university, and that is the opportunity that I had to be involved, to meet that group of people. So my friend in Eugene, his name was Pip Cole. He was having the group from Gold Mountain Monastery stay on his property outside of the city, and in the afternoon of in the summertime, I went to meet those people and help to welcome them to the talk at the university. And in that situation, I, I was surrounded by a lot of people that I wasn't familiar with. There were a new group, and I was looking for a little bit of downtime, a little bit of relaxation time. I went inside the building, and because all the activity was outside in the nice weather, I went into the living room of my friend's house, and I was the only person inside there, and suddenly, uh, let's see, Sherpa was standing at the door. And here at Wampachang, the people hear about this hall that we used to use called the No Words Hall. It's where it was right next to the building where Shifu lived, so he could come out and give his lecture and go back to his building. Very, very convenient. Well, this meaning of no words is very important to me, because at that moment in that living room, uh, I saw this Chinese man I've never met before, and suddenly I knew that my life was going to change. That this was the Buddhism that I was been dreaming about, and I didn't have to I didn't have to look anymore, and I had to start to practice to change. My life was very free, American style. I was 30 years old, and and that was the beginning. Although it was only the beginning, it was a very strong event, and it was 50 years ago. Still very has a lot of meaning, a lot of value. So so then that was in 1976 in the summertime, and in the winter, the people from that the family from that house invited me to come to Gold Mountain Monastery in San Francisco to attend an Amitabha session. Well, I'd never been in an Amitabha session before, and had no idea what was involved. But we drove down to San Francisco, and we did this. We did the very simple kind of meditation where you sit and for half an hour and walk for half an hour and sit, walk, sit, and that was the old style. It was a very small group in that building, Gold Mountain Monastery in San Francisco, and uh, this is a very strange thing happened. I was sitting in the middle of the quiet meditation, and suddenly there was there's this animal. It's a I guess you call it a tiger, and the tiger, which is having horns, and was walking in the aisle in front of the sitting, and it was completely white color and had a lotus flower on the back. And Shifu was sitting on the lotus flower, full lotus. It was very bright, very happy, shining, and so it was like a meditation state, and it was very strange.
Mm.
So that happened, and just and went away, and I never told anyone about that for like 15 or 20 years later.
Mm.
Uh, and then that meditation session was completed, and we went back to Oregon, and I came back to my hometown, my home. Was living with my parents, and at one night I was sleeping, and suddenly I had this very unusual kind of like a dream, like a dream state, and I could see the room from like the ceiling, and I was laying there on the floor sleeping, and Shifu was at the door,
Mm.
and he said, you should come back to the monastery. And I go, oh, okay, okay. And he walked over to what we would call a dresser, where I keep all my clothes, and on the top of it, and there was a picture of my girlfriend. And Schiffel went over to this picture, and he said, you should get rid of this person. And it was very okay. That's only like a few months after, 6 weeks or 2 months after I had been in the meditation session, where that really strange thing happened, and then suddenly I was I was on my pad on my bed sleeping, and everything was back to normal. And
Mm.
then it took me like a short amount of time to organize my life, you know, to come back down to the monastery, and I got my stuff together and went back to San Francisco. I'm from a small town in Oregon. I never lived in the metropolitan area, so I volunteered to live in the monastery and asked them if it was okay, and they said, yeah, sure, you can. I had a car, and I had, I took care of the insurance, and the maintenance, and the gasoline, petrol. And so I kind of became the driver.
Mm.
So it was pretty. I was able to be involved a little bit. Sometimes people need to go places and do these things, and didn't really know the city very well, but I that's how I would participate. And of course, I learned how to sleep sitting up. It was really popular at that time, and in the fall of that year, 1977, Schriffel said that the people, there were probably 6 or 8 uh, um, m- men living in the monastery at that time, and we all were told that should move to Ukiah,
Mm.
to come to here to the Buddhist Association, 10,000 Buddhist City, and not live in the city in the Gold Mountain anymore, except for Shifu and Hung Guan and Hung Shun, who was like the secretary, office manager. So from 1977, I lived here in the firehouse, and we did we did our ceremonies, and eventually I lived in the big jailhouse they call Rulaisa. I
Mm.
lived in that in that one room for 8 years, and
Oh.
uh, uh, yeah, it would be a lot different than it is now, because um, Sherfa would come, and there'd be 200, 300 people maybe show up for that weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The show would leave on Monday maybe, and all the people go, and there might be 20 or 30 people in the entire facility, just enough to keep the electricity and the water running, and we would be doing ceremonies. There would be very few people in attendance, but we went to the Guanyin Hall, And so eventually, um, well, when I was still living here, my father started to, his health went down, and I had informed the Buddhist Association that when my dad died, so I'd have to go back home and help take care of my mom. And when that was in 1990, 91, I went. I left from having lived here for like 14 years, and went to live with my mom, and since that time I come to the sessions and attend big retreats whenever they are held at the Buddhist Association. So that's been my introduction, and especially some of the experiences are even though they're 50 years ago, still
Mm.
very fresh. So okay, we good?
Very
this
excellent.
this is this is about the extent of what it is. Now I'm 80 years old, and I just try my best to participate whenever I can.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Great,
so
very good.
now's the time. That's it. That's it. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.